Hey guys, this is Grant Coombs III, aka Balbomb, coming to you for another video from CardRunners.com. In this video, I'm going over a number of hands that I played in the last, couple of months that I thought were creative and I thought I played really well. And there's something interesting to note before we start the video. In the past, and even in the past when I just started making videos for CardRunners, I would probably describe this video as interesting lines that I'm taking. And what I would mean by that is, well, I would focus on something like, wow, it's really exploitable to, for example, check raise rivers with a lot of bluffs. Or, for example, I would say donk flops with a lot of bluffs. Or just make these really generalized terms, right? And while that is a decent starting point, I think I've definitely matured as a poker player, and I should be able to narrow what I'm actually talking about here. And it has nothing to do with taking unique lines necessarily. It's talking about how to properly manipulate ranges. So instead of coming up with creative lines, what instead this video is going to focus on is how to creatively maneuver your ranges in different spots rather than just taking creative lines. I think that's a really important distinction, and we'll get right into it to demonstrate what I'm talking about here. I open King 10 suited under the gun. This is a little bit loose potentially, but I don't really mind it unless you have some really difficult villains behind you. On the flop, I think this is a pretty standard C-bet. We definitely have 3 outs to the nuts. We have an additional 9 outs that we can continue to barrel on with spade draws. And additionally, we can also create some other barreling options for ourselves, which I actually end up doing here. We get called by the rather tight player. 24-20 on the cutoff. He's calling 10% of hands. So his range is rather narrow here, although it still, I think, can contain hands such as Queen Jack or King Queen, along with hands like Ace Jack, Ace 10, and then the obvious draws. I do anticipate this player, if he has Ace Queen or 7s, to raise most of the time. It gets heads up, and I think this is a situation where most players are just going to be giving up on this king, given that we almost all the time don't have the best hand. Also, we can certainly have hands such as King Queen, even Ace King potentially, although I don't think that's very likely. And like we said, also small potential for Ace Queen, pocket 7s, or definitely a hand like Jack 10 of clubs or King Queen of clubs. With that said, though, I think there's also a large part of his range that we can get to fold by the river. Now, this is a sort of card that definitely makes his range such that he's not going to be folding the turn. And we've talked about this a lot in our videos. And that's a really critical board texture to realize this. So it definitely makes a double barrel here is really going to be quite poor. But if we think about his range as a whole, there's going to be a lot of elements here that are going to be folding the river. First of all, I can certainly represent all of the nutted hands, such as pocket aces, kings, queens, ace king, ace queen, and jack 10. I can certainly represent those hands far better than he can, just simply calling in the cutoff. Additionally, there's going to be a lot of hands such as ace jack, ace 10, any club draw that's going to be calling 2 streets that is now going to be folding to a river bet. So my original intention here with this king is that I can represent ace king so much better than he can in this particular situation, and that hand in particular, as well as I can certainly c-bet hands such as jack 10, hoping to either win the pot or turn the nuts like I might have potentially done here. So with these good blocker cards as well to jack 10 and to ace king and king queen, I think it makes it a really nice spot for us to plan on triple barreling here. And I bet big in order to set up this triple barrel bluff. That's really critical. You can't just simply try to bet maybe something like 18 into 28. You're going to have to overbet the river. And you're also potentially not going to know exactly where you are in the hand. When he calls here, I think it's still rather expected. I think his range is going to be narrowed down to, he might fold hands such as like ace 5 suited, something like that, which is another advantage to the way we play this hand. But he's still going to have an ace jack, ace 10, and he's obviously going to have his 2 pair hands. And I think almost any club draw is going to call if it got this far. So I think even a hand such as maybe he peeled a little bit lightly pre-flop with 9-8 suited would continue to call here. uh, believing that they probably have the correct implied odds. So on the river, it's a complete blank. I am not going to barrel this if this is a club draw. I still, for the reason I just stated, that I still think he has a lot of club draws in his range. So therefore, I think it's a really excellent opportunity here just to shove. And I actually expect him to fold hands such as king, queen, and ace, queen a lot of the time. Additionally, if we look to his win it showdown stat here, which is right here, which is, or sorry, win it showdown, which is 57%. That's really going to be an absolute critical number because he's going to be calling with far less frequency than a lot of other players would in this situation. So I think hands like king queen and ace queen against this player in particular are going to be hands that I expect him to fold here. So this is just a really great board texture, and it gets even better with the card removal that I have. So I think this is going to be a really nice spot for me to triple barrel. Unfortunately, it doesn't work here. And he actually took till about 2 or 3 seconds left to call with ace king, which means that I'm pretty sure this, first of all, makes my triple barrel really nice in this situation. And additionally, I think it does make it correct that he's definitely going to fold king queen and probably ace queen as well, even though those are harder hands for players to fold in general when they have more absolute value.